So let's roll from this into the rest of the show, which I want to start with talking about Dune 2. Boom! There it is. So I enjoyed the first the Dune from 2021. I don't like it as much as the David Lynch Dune. I think David Lynch really nailed the atmosphere, the look. Like, he really nailed the look. Like, the Emperor's Throne Room, I was really paying attention to it when I watched the David Lynch stuff again this past weekend. And, like, Shaddam's throne room is just absolutely gorgeous. That room probably cost like $100,000 to make as a set. That's before you take into account the gilting on everything. Like, everything's gilt. And I really liked Jose Ferrer's. In fact, I really liked the cast from the original David Lynch Dune. The cast in Dune Part 2 is also pretty good. Stellan Skarsgård's Baron is very different. He's more menacing, but less maniacal. I kind of like the maniacal, am I alive? Yes, my Baron, you're alive. Like, that stuff I had a great time with. But here in Dune Part 2, for the most part, I liked it. There's like only two things that really bugged me about the movie. One is I don't remember Chani being such like a joy kill in the novel. Like, okay, I will admit it's been 20 years or something since I read Dune. Maybe a little longer. So I might be misremembering parts of that, but I don't remember her being like such a, like, just a total buzzkill for Paul. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I'm willing to just admit that I'm wrong, but the way she was portrayed kind of bothered me in that regard. And the other thing I didn't like, I guess there's three things. The second thing I didn't like is I really wanted more screen time for Christopher Walken. To be the Padishah Emperor, he was not on screen very much. And when he was on screen, he did not emperor. Like, okay, I get the part where he's talking to his daughter, like Irulan, and they're playing chess or whatever, like, very casual emperor. But later, like when he shows up, and even after Sardaukar are defeated, he's not acting like I am the emperor of the universe. He makes one demand to Paul at that point, and it just kind of, that's it. You should kiss my feet. Yeah, I gotta tell you, the Fade Ralpha stuff was excellent. We're gonna talk about my thoughts about that in a second. And then the third thing I didn't like is it was a deviation from the plot that didn't work. And that is making the Bene Gesserit responsible for killing House Atreides. That doesn't feel right. Like, they're trying to manipulate the Atreides into, into their whole bloodline breeding program. They're not going to prune that branch of it just because Jessica disobeyed. Like, that felt really weird. Like, I could see them conspiring to kill Leto, but then part of that conspiracy would be they would want to kidnap Paul or something, so that they could, get his genetic material, or they'd like throw some floozy at him and get her knocked up and thus continue the bloodline. So just like the total extermination of the Atreides house as a Bene Gesserit plot felt kind of weird. Stuff I liked about the movie, the cinematography, absolutely gorgeous. The desert stuff was filmed almost as well as Lawrence of Arabia for making the desert its own character. Because that's one of the things, like, if you go watch Lawrence of Arabia, you got to watch it on kind of a large screen, and you really got to watch it letterboxed. You got to watch it widescreen. You can't watch it in 4:3 format, because if you watch it in 4:3 format, you miss the desert. In Lawrence of Arabia, like 2/3 of the shots in that movie give half of their screen to the freaking desert. And Dune Part 2 did the same thing. The desert felt like it was its own character in the movie. Really, really well done cinematography. And then we cut from all that like golden brown over to the Harkonnens' planet, Getty Prime, and oh my gosh, that stark change in palette was like a sledgehammer to my brain. I just stared agog for just at the screen. It was just like that whole sequence, and getting introduced to Fade Ralpha that way. Thumbs up. Really good choice. Oh man. Now, of course, there's some stuff in the books that got cut out in that set of sequences. Like, I think if I remember right, after the Gladiator thing, Fade Ralpha, like, booby traps like a sex doll guy and sends him to the Baron to kill him and stuff. I'll look at the chat in a second, guys. I want to make sure I get all my thoughts down. Let's see. Cinematography. Pacing was good. The little bits of humor, like when Stilgar was talking to Paul about crossing the desert, and he's like, you don't have to worry about the big centipedes. You just got to worry about the small ones. When he says small ones, he's holding his hands like 3 feet apart. Like, just little stuff like that was really well timed. I don't remember the banter from the novel in that regard, but that was really good. It made Stilgar seem human. Whereas if you go back to like the David Lynch, everybody in that movie, including Stilgar, basically playing archetypes. They're not fully fledged characters. They're kind of like the archetype of what that character's supposed to be. And Dune Part 2 really gave us time to get into Stilgar's character, to understand Stilgar. When Gurney Halleck shows up later, I like the friction he has with the Fremen. That was really nice too. So all in all, like, I really enjoyed Dune Part 2. I liked it a lot better than I thought I was going to. And I thought it was just going to be kind of okay. Like, I got some serious quibbles about the first one. But the second one did not really have those problems. Okay, let's look at the chat here. And let's see what we got. XLG, I think they developed a bit of drama around the fact that Zendaya is a big star. Yeah, like I said, I don't remember Chani being that way in the books. Maybe she was. See, XLG, you should kiss my feet. Yeah. That Fade Ralpha stuff was so good, man. Oh, and Batista. Like Batista, that was his portrayal of Raban was really good, because I like the coward turn he picked up. That was just so good. Let's see. You don't understand that the Fremen also had a Reverend Mother? Yes, they explained that in the movie. Like, Bene Gesserit know how to extract the water of life? No, the Bene Gesserit do not know how to extract the water of life. The Fremen do. I kind of liked that Shai Hulud is the grandfather worms instead of one big one. Shai Hulud is just the name for the worms. You know, bless the maker in his passing and all that stuff. But, no. In fact, the whole, like, Chani not being into Paul has to do with the Reverend Mother's existence in the Fremen population. Because the Bene Gesserit sent, basically, missionaries to every planet in the known universe, all 1,000 worlds or whatever it is. And they're like, on each of those worlds, they build a mythology that they can later exploit. So they create like a messiah figure, and they set up all the pieces of a prophecy. That way, in an emergency, their agents can use that prophecy. So there are Bene Gesserit, or there are Reverend Mothers on Arrakis, because there are Bene Gesserit that have been sent there specifically to proselytize to the Fremen. You also need to remember, too, in the Dune universe, there's only one religion, really. Everybody in the Dune universe follows the religion that's laid out in the Orange Catholic Bible, which I don't think they mentioned in any of the movies. And so it's a combination of every terrestrial religion into one text. So that's why in places you see them using like Arabic words, and in other places English words, and stuff like that, because all the religions were merged together into one single belief system. So when somebody like says, one cannot go against the word of God, like at the end of the David Lynch movie, when Paul is ascendant on Dune, like that's the religion they're speaking into, is this weird is that the right word? Syncretized? Syncretized? Whatever the word is. It's like, it's that weird amalgam of stuff. And so the Fremen have their own variation on that religion. It's essentially the same religion as everybody else, but they've substituted other concepts into it. So because they are so tied to the desert and the world that they live in, and they have to deal with the giant worms, well, the worm becomes kind of like the divine figure in their story, because the worm is the maker. It's the beginning and the end of the existence on Dune. And so everything kind of spins out of that. And so the Bene Gesserit roll in, and they're like, yeah, what if we tweak this a little bit and we put some prophecies in place? And so now all the major Sietches, at least I presume all the major Sietches on Arrakis, have a Reverend Mother hanging out, so that they can not only provide spiritual guidance to people, but they're there to manipulate them and keep them on track for what the Bene Gesserit want them to do. I hope that makes sense. Man. So, really good movie. I wanted more Christopher Walken. I wanted more Florence Pugh. I wanted more Austin Butler. In fact, you know what I wanted? I wanted another hour of it. That's what I really wanted. I wanted another hour of this movie to go into some other of the little sub-material. Like Ninja Weasel says, a little sad they cut out Gurney being primed and sent out to kill, like stuff like that. Like, I would have liked a little more. Which is weird, because the first Dune I kind of was like, yeah, this is exactly the perfect length. And the second part, I wanted way more. Was the fact the body, water, shining required for Paul to awaken? I don't remember that, XLG. Oh, and I guess the water life thing, they mention it very briefly in Dune Part 2. But Bene Gesserit and people with their training are able to completely control their body chemistry. So the whole becoming a Reverend Mother thing is like the ultimate test. In order to get that power, to get access to the ancestral memories, they have to be able to control their body chemistry. So they ingest the poison, and then they have to transmute the poison into something non-poisonous. And that's the proof that they're good enough as a Bene Gesserit to become a Reverend Mother. They left it out of both film adaptations, but Paul actually does that in the middle of his sword fight with Fade Rautha, if I remember correctly in the novel. Fade is using the Emperor's blade, which isn't poison. From the perspective of what's on the blade will not kill him. But the blade that he's using has a soporific on it, meaning makes you sleepy, makes you tired and lethargic. And so in the middle of that sword fight, while Paul is busy dancing with Fade Rautha, he's transmuting the soporific poison in his own body to nullify it, so that he can continue fighting him hand to hand. That's why Leia Seydoux becomes... Yeah, that's why Lady Fenrig becomes pregnant. Bene Gesserit can control that. They absolutely can control that. They expound on that in some of the later novels, where they can like make a single fiber of muscle move and no other muscles around it. Like, just absolutely crazy stuff like that. And as good as the Reverend Mothers are, like, if I remember right, the matrons also can do that when they show up in like the 5th or 6th novel. And they don't have nearly the discipline that the Reverend Mothers and the Bene Gesserit have. The face dancers are even weirder too, because they not only can control like single muscles and stuff, but they can just completely reconfigure their body. Totally wild dudes. I'm real curious to see if they're gonna like somehow try to adapt Dune Messiah into a third movie, because I don't see. People are always like, oh yeah, Dune is an unfilmable book or whatever, and I don't really believe that. But Dune Messiah, I really don't know how you would film that book, because it's just kind of like it's all in Paul's head. Like so much of it is just like how Paul's feeling. At least that's what I remember. Face dancers are free. They sure are, man. What is the face dancer's name from Dune Messiah? It's Skytell or something like that, right? Dude, it's been a really long time since I read Dune Messiah and Heretics of Dune. Like, I've read the first novel more recently than I've read the sequels. Probably Faye Ralpha passes the pain box test because he turns pain into pleasure. Yep. Probably. I'm not getting into the psychosexual implications of Faye Ralpha's testing. We ain't going there, XLG, because I would like to stay on YouTube. Skytell, yeah. Yes. Yes. Bene Thylax are messed up, dude. Kind of circling back, a key theme of the Dune novels, of the Dune setting, of the whole Dune overarching story. And again, I'm going to say I haven't read the sequel. I haven't actually read all the sequels, and I sure ain't read, or I haven't read any of the sequels, and I haven't read much of the prequels except what's in comic book form. But kind of the overarching theme, at least in Frank Herbert's novels, is that the human mind can overcome mere physical limitations. Shout out to my man Paul looking at the bear and going, "You die like an animal." Yeah. Oh, hiccup. But it's all about how the mind, what it means to be human, is that you can exceed mere physical limitations. Like, the Bene Gesserit are all about, yeah, we're going to transmute this poison into something harmless. Yeah, you know what? We can we can effectively be psychic to some extent. Like, they're really only psychic to other Bene Gesserit. They don't go around reading everybody's mind verbatim, but they're telepathic enough they can tell when somebody's lying, even if they're not in the room while it's happening. The Bene Thylax, the Thylaxu, they make the face dancers who do all sorts of crazy physical manipulation of their own body. They make the axolotl tanks, which are people. All that kind of great stuff. The Mentats, human computers. All that kind of stuff. It's just really fantastic that the thing that makes you human is that you can overcome the physical limitation. That's what the whole test is about, that they give to Fade Ralpha, that they give in the movie, they give to Paul in the movies, in the book, is, are you human enough to overcome your reflex? Because if you're human enough to overcome that basic reflex, as they say, even a flatworm turns away from pain. If you're human enough to overcome that reflex, maybe you're human enough to do some of that other crazy stuff. You like that the Baron stuck the... Oh, I love the fact that he crawled to the throne. Yeah, he looks up, he sees the throne, he's like, I'm going to go sit on that son of a gun. He don't make it, but he sure goes for it. So yeah, I liked part 2 better than I liked part 1. Which reminds me, while I was watching part 1 again this weekend, actually on Memorial Day, I noticed one thing that really, really struck me as wrong. When Duncan Idaho gets into that ornithopter, when everything's being attacked, it's shown that the ornithopter has a shield. From one of the Harkonnen ships, they start shooting a las gun at him while he's in a shielded vehicle. That's a no-no. because the shield and the las gun have an interaction that's basically like it sets off a nuclear explosion at both ends, if I remember how that works correctly. Like, if you think your enemy is shielded, you would not be using las guns. So that really struck me as like wrong, because okay, you killed an ornithopter, but you also blew your really expensive spaceship up. Like, so that was weird. That was like the one thing that just really struck me as what? And I don't really like that whole sequence of him doing like the acrobatics in the ornithopter to escape anyway. I realize it's supposed to be like a thrilling action sequence or something, but it's totally unnecessary. They could have cut that escape out completely. The movies do not touch on the las gun shield interaction at all. Not a bit. Not a whiff of it. Which is a shame. Neither movie did. Whether David Lynch or the new ones. And they really should have, because if you're watching it, like in the first one, they use that las gun and it just like seemed like easily cuts through that door and stone and stuff. Like, it's like, why don't they just use this for all their guns? The shields. Because shields, man. Las guns are dangerous. That's why they've developed all those projectile weapons that have like a screwing motion, so they can like dig through the shield and stuff. Like, it's just cool, at least in the movies. I don't remember in the books if they do that, but in both of the movies they do that. Yui's dart that he shoots Duke Leto with, and then whatever kills Duncan Idaho back in the first movie. Like, I'm cool. Do I have anything else I want to say about the movie? I've crowed about the cinematography a lot. And I think the cinematography for Dune Part 2 really can't be overstated just how good it is. It really is that good. Oh my gosh. I'm just like picturing Getty Prime under the black sun and that starkness. And it's just absolutely blowing my mind. Oh, dudes. Seeing Getty Prime lit up that way explains so much about why the Harkonnen are the way they are. Like, they don't understand color because they live in a place where color doesn't exist. Crazy stuff. Anyway, I think that's all the thoughts I had on Dune Part 2. I really liked it. You should watch both parts if you're at all interested in this stuff. Oh, we ain't explaining how Harkonnen fireworks work. That is not happening. Because I don't know how they get that collapsing oil bubble, dude, and I ain't even gonna try. We're signing off from the review, from the Harkonnen fireworks. No, we're noping out.